Hello, beautiful people. I hope you guys are doing well and having a wonderful day. My name is Emmanuel Okafor, and in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up an eye shader inside Blender. So let's get started. We're just going to go ahead and add a UV sphere. So this will vary depending on the polygon count which your budget is and the size of your character's eyes. But we'll just work with the default one. The scaling might not be accurate, especially with the size of the pupil and everything. But this is just to show you how to set up the shaders and textures and everything. Okay, so once you have your sphere, we'll go into edit mode and select this portion. So I'll use the tool to bring out the move gizmo. Before we do that, I'll just quickly turn on the shortcut so you can follow along anything I'm clicking any button, so you can just follow along. Now I'm going to extrude this outwards and Ctrl B, bevel this slightly. I mean, this is not really important because we could apply subdivision and that will fix that. So this is what we have now. I will click on this visualization button to allow the subdivision to be previewed in edit mode. Next, I will select this point and Shift D to duplicate it, extrude it inwards, something like this. So this also matters if you're trying to create a cute character, a more realistic character. The size of this might vary, and you can always adjust it with shape keys and set it up. So we'll leave this as it is, but before that, let's just move it inwards like this, a concave shape. Okay, so we'll leave that open and we'll do another Shift D and we'll scale this up and just fill it. Okay, so this is our setup now. So what we have here, we have three geometries. Okay, so just to assist ourselves later to be able to quickly visualize or have access to the inner geometry, I'm going to select this faces and go here and click on new vertex group, assign that, and I will add a mask. Okay, so something like this. So with the new Blender feature, which kind of enhances the max tool, you can use a threshold to just adjust this slightly. So you have it looking like this. And I'm going to turn off the render preview so we don't make mistake and leave it on and we don't see the result happening. Okay, so to get rid of those artifacts, we'll select everything and do Shift N, and it's going to recalculate the normal. So as you can see here, you can either switch it to make that look good. So we're all set now. We can go ahead and start shading and texturing the sky. So before we start texturing, we need to unwrap this model. So I'm going to switch to edge. Vertex can work too, holding down Alt and clicking on the right mouse. I will subdivide, create a seam. So usually the main focus area is just this half part of the model, so we want this to have more resolution and scaled up when we unwrap it. So I will mark seam there and selecting everything. I'll apply the rotation and scale first and then unwrap. So here in the UV editor, we'll just kind of scale things up to favor certain parts of the eyes. So we want this to be relatively big, so we'll hide that. We also need this to be relatively big because these are going to contain the textures that we want. Okay, the iris will be here, the image of the iris will be here, so we'll just leave that. And then for the rest, we can scale it down, doesn't really matter. Depending on what you want though, if you have a scene where you probably will go really close or see the back of the eyes, then you probably want to scale this up, at least have an even UV. Okay, so this doesn't matter because it's just the shaded black. Just move this out of the way. Okay, so we are all set now. I will click on add new, and we'll call this eye material, and we'll create a new texture and hit new. So give this about a 2K texture. We can call this eye texture. So for the color, we'll set it to 0.7, so it's just bright enough. It also depends if more realistic or more cartoony. Cartoony, you tend to make it brighter, but 0.7 usually works for me. So that's good. I will hit OK, and then we can go from there. We can pop into the texture paint mode, and we'll right click here, header, show to settings. So I have a shortcut for that, which is Alt F1. So if you see it opening and closing, that's what I'm doing. So we can paint on this and do anything we want. So let's start. So I want to kind of paint red all of this, just to quickly get started. So a quick way to do that is, let's see if I can find that. Okay, so if you go to options, and you'll see occlude and back face calling, so you just uncheck that, and now when we paint, it's going to go through it like this. So I think this is really red. Make it slightly something like this. So it's going to paint through it. I mean, you could use the symmetry, but it works too. Okay, so once you have that, you can start adding variation, kind of at least break up the colors of the eye so it doesn't look so even, especially if you're going for something more realistic. Then we draw some veins. So I'm using my pen. I'll just adjust it. So you can just have fun with this part. If you have a reference, that will also be quite convenient. I forgot to turn this off, but we'll deal with that later. So this will just be our rough veins and stuff. You can different color. Okay, so once we have that, before we continue, let me just fix this quickly. Just paint all white. I should fix that. And I will turn off this. I will enable this so we don't make the mistake again. So now we can proceed to add in the iris color, basically the color of the eyes and the texture. So for that, we'll click on new, set this to stencil. Okay, and you just basically load in the text where you have your textures. I have some go to eye textures. I'll just quickly load them up. So let's do like a green eyes. Let's do this one. Okay, so you want to scale it to match it. To be more precise with the painting process, so I'm going to hide this, the shell, and then select this particular mesh. Okay, and when I go to paint, the paint mode, I will click on this. So it's just going to allow us to see what the edit mode sees, so we can be more precise with our texture painting. So we'll set the color back to white, increase the strength to 1, and just paint. Let's see. It's not even. I'll fix that. Okay, so we have the eye texture now. So before we continue, I'll just quickly save this somewhere. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Save as desktop. Cool. So now let's also paint this. So we'll select that this object, go into the paint mode. If we have this checked, we can just isolate this object and fill it up. So this is what we have now. And save this. Okay. Enable this. We can see the complete stuff happening. Okay, so the next process is basically shading this with Cycles, because I mean, you could set this up to work for Eevee, but it's easier to I tend to use this method for Cycles because it gives a better, more realistic result. So let's start shading. I'm going to delete this shader and add a subsurface scatter, plug in the color. You can try using the color as the radius. Okay, and now we need to be able to see the iris, so we'll select this part, and now we'll go into vertex paint. I mean, you can do this process with the texture paint. You can paint like a mask here, which is basically what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to set the color to black, and if you hit Shift K, you can fill it up, or you can, same thing here, set vertex color, Shift K. So we'll still need to do some refinement here, but we'll deal with that later. So now we can quickly set this up. So I'll move this aside. I will open this up for you guys. I'm going to add a mix shader, add a glass shader. Okay, and then add another mix shader here. This is just kind of making the glass shader more optimized, especially when you have low bounces, to kind of speed up your render time. We could just use the glass, but we probably need to increase the bounces so it's kind of bright, because if you reduce the bounces, it kind of becomes darker because light doesn't bounce so much, and especially for glass it will be quite noticeable. So to bypass that, you use this kind of quick method. So glass plus a transparent shader. Okay, and then the final Chevron Sean is at the light path node. We'll use the shadow ray and hit it there. Okay, so it's working now, but we cannot really see it. This is the pure glass, and so now we'll get that vertex color which we created and take the factor and plug it in there. So it's telling us we need to invert it, so we could just flip this and you have your eye shader. Okay, so now we'll just do some finishing touches to kind of clean everything up and have it ready. So add a glossy. So we could add the glossy right here so that the white part has some specularity. Okay, so one thing you can do, because we could make this shader quite complex with several maps, because we need this this part, the outer part will be subsurface, and this parts will need to be diffused. So instead of using mask, we'll just create a new material and fix that. So create a new material and assign this. The shader for this is going to be a diffuse shader, and the texture is going to be same texture basically. So the eye texture which we created. Okay, so you can see it's behaving well now. So you can just focus your energy here, play with the glossy, and you can increase this subsurf. Okay, let's see wait. Okay, so now let's kind of finalize that vertex paint which we painted. Like I said, you could still achieve the same result with texture as the mask, but this is just more convenient for me. So I will grab the blob brush from the tool. That's the method where I know how to select it. I think you can still select it from here, I don't know, but it's faster when you use the tool and you can access it here. So blur, paint, smear, and all the rest of the gang. So now we can just use the blur brush and blur out the edges. So you can see it now feels like multiple objects. So we can't because what you want to avoid is the edge being quite obvious. So that's what we've done. Okay, so now it's just kind of building up the materials some more to give it more details. So for the eye, we probably want to add like some bump to give it even more depth and more complexity. So using the color ramp, I'm going to create that and add a bump node such as the height. Okay, so we can start seeing some ridges there. So if you don't want it to be so obvious, you can adjust it. And then we'll go back to the eye shader. We need to create like some bump, so this is not so perfect. We can use derive that information from the texture which we painted, since it has like the eye veins. So we'll also get a bump node and plug it straight in. So let's see what we have. We invert that. I mean, it's not perfect. You probably, if you're going for like extreme realism, you might want to spend time, especially if the eye is the main focus of the stuff. Okay, so I'm just adjusting it so all those artifacts are not problem. So we have it just we're just seeing just the vein, which is perfect. So we'll use this pump and connect it to all the materials. If I'm not wrong, you can just do this. Okay, so we'll just connect it to all the materials. So normal. So if you go closer, you can see the veins coming through. Set is 0.1. You could also play with the roughness just to enhance it some more. So let's see. I'll just get like a random grunge map. So if you have any questions so far, you can leave it in the comment. I'll try my best to answer, because of course there's some technique, especially if you're kind of starting out, you might get confused in certain areas. So I'm going to plug it into the roughness. Let's kind of see how it's working. Okay. We'll probably have to adjust that later, but just so that we see the main effect. Okay, so for the adjustment, we'll add a mix RGB. And set this color to black. So there are some imperfections there. We could even create a new bump from that, actually, just to break it up some more. So I'm creating a new bump and using it as a normal for the bump we created earlier, and the image is from this. Then I will reduce the influence greatly, just to break any sign of perfection on it. Okay, so I mean, now it's just any other thing you want to do is just luxury stuff. As you can see, you can still play with this sub if you think it's too much. So now I'm going to enable caustics. It actually creates a very cool effect here. So it's even more depth and coolness. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a nice render. I'll save my scene, add the camera. So let's go 2K, sample of 600. Let's see. So I'm using the new Cycus X and a 3080 GTX RTX 3080. I don't know how you say that. This is the result. You can see go in and refine the subsurface, especially if it's kind of making it look. Better thing to do is just use this as the radius. It's gonna fix that. So I'll go ahead and render this. So it's done rendering, as you can see. This is the result. So you can still take your time, especially when creating the vein, to match the art style you're going for, or the reference which you're working from. Kind of tweak it some more to get a better result. I'll go ahead and create like a quick animation to so that we can see it in 360. But before that, I did some more changes, especially with the roughness. I reduced the visibility of the texture by just moving the slider higher, so it's kind of favoring the black color. Basically, when dealing with roughness, black means it's going to be very shiny, very reflective, and white means it's going to be less reflective. I also connected it to the glossiness for the white part of the eyes. And yeah, that's it. I'll go ahead and render this and you guys will see the final animation.